What's up, everybody? It's Saturday, May 30th. A little random video. Luis and I, decided we'd get on and give a reaction video to the Roy Halladay news. Not the Roy Halladay news, the Roy Halladay documentary that aired last night, Imperfect, on ESPN E60. But before we get to that, there's a couple of headlines we want to touch on. The first one I feel like is a necessary headline to touch on, and that's that Alex Rodriguez, everybody. Look over at CT, look at his reaction. Alex Rodriguez, that's right. Alex Rodriguez is making a second bid for the New York Mets. I really want this to happen, man. I don't know why, but I want him to own the Mets.
I will buy my Mike Piazza jersey tomorrow if A-Rod becomes the majority owner of the Mets somehow.
Yeah, and I think I want it to happen for two reasons. The first one is I want to see him continue to improve and get in people's positive side, because I still think there's some people you need to win over, particularly Porter Fisher. I know you're listening, Porter. And secondly, because I think that MLB needs the face of their teams, their owners, to be present. I think that the biggest mistake MLB made was blocking Mark Cuban from trying to buy an MLB team. I think an owner like Mark Cuban would help baseball tremendously, because a lot of these owners for a lot of these teams, we don't even know who they are. I want them to be more present. I want them to be more involved in the operations. Like you see Hal Steinbrenner, the Henry family over in Boston. A lot of those families are very involved. You know what they're about. Some other guys I'm not so sure about. And I feel like a lot of the contention that's going on between players and owners right now has a little bit to do with that. That some of these billionaire owners can hide and stay out of the public eye really easily. But that's my take on that one. CT, I don't know if you have a quick take.
No, yeah, I agree. I think like having a guy like A-Rod as your owner gives your team more of an identity, at least in the public eye. And I'm an A-Rod fan. I'm not afraid to say it.
Really?
I support the guy. Support the guy in everything he does. Wish he was here right now. I wish
in your house.
I wish he could know how I feel and that I support him. And really happy that he made an appearance on the Roy Halladay documentary last night. I don't know what the purpose was. I don't think he ever came back.
I think it was to establish that he's one of the best pitchers.
I think we all need to just take a moment and realize that he's that noise that comes out is because of the dentures that he got put in place that are clearly not aligned. Like, you try finishing a sentence, but push your front top teeth out of placement. Finish a sentence. Go ahead.
Okay.
Say something with it.
So my name is Manny Gomez. Jennifer Lopez.
So I think that we should stop making fun of the guy for a poor job done by a dentist that got paid well for a poor job.
He's a millionaire. Go get the job fixed. I mean, come on, man. Anyway, we're gonna waste time on this. We're wasting time on this. So let's move on to the next story, and that's that Ken Rosenthal and John Heyman are both reporting that basically the players haven't made a counter offer. When they got that insulting offer, they said they weren't going to do a counter offer. They weren't even going to bother. But they are waiting for the financials, which apparently both sides have agreed that the players are going to have, which should determine where it is that these owners are losing all this money to justify all the pay cuts they want the players to make. So we're still waiting on that. John Heyman said that if we want a season by early July, that there's a soft deadline of June 1st for them to come to an agreement, which would be on Monday, I think. I'm not sure if there's 30 or 31 days in May.
Let me ask you something, Manny. If we finally get a peek at the owner's books and all that stuff, and we find out that the only option to have a season was the original proposal that they made, do you think we'll be okay with that? You think that we'll finally point the fingers at another side that's not the owners?
I think the fingers can only be pointed at the owners or nobody at all, because the players signed a contract for guaranteed money. They made a concession in March to take pay cuts, or not pay cuts, for what's happening now, which is to be paid only if they play, plus there was some extra money thrown in there. So the only thing that can happen is that the owners justify the extra pay cuts that they want, and if they can, then it's going to be on the players to say, fine, we'll take the pay cuts, or to say, all right, then we're not going to play. And I think if the players decide to take a stand and say fine, then we're just not going to play, the players lose. But I think that's the only way that the players are going to lose. But at the same time, the players are going to lose anyway. Perceptually, in the court of public opinion, they lost already because people don't want to see millionaires complain about making less millions than more millions. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
People are suffering. People are jobless out there. So it doesn't look good. It's not a good look on both sides. But the players are going to lose because they're in the public eye and people know who the players are. And like I said earlier, we don't know who some of these owners are. They're, they little bitches hiding, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Can't believe, man. I hate billionaires. I fucking hate them.
We're just kidding. We don't hate billionaires. We like the ones, especially the ones that sponsor podcasts like these. So if you're listening, we love you guys.
A-Rod, if you're out there listening, man, just take a chance.
Yeah, take a chance on us, man. We'll if you buy the Mets, we'll talk Mets 100% of the time if you sponsor the show.
Yeah,
Alex. All right, man, the Roy the Roy Halladay doc CT. Super sad, man. Really sad. And I thought it was set up perfectly because they go through his entire career and give you the perfect setup about how his father was a pilot or is a pilot and instilled in him a love of baseball and aviation. You saw how he came up through the ranks and how he struggled at the beginning, but that he was humble enough to go back and change some things to make it possible for him to return and become the kind of pitcher that he ultimately became. And Alex Rodriguez even said that if he were to create a rotation of pitchers, that he would be in that rotation all time. I don't know do you agree with that, by the way? Would you put Halladay in your top 5 all time?
I mean, the guy pitched, and I think it's interesting that he won Cy Young's, what was it, like 8 years apart? Mm-hmm. And that he pitched during a time that we always Pedro Martinez credit for, that we always give Mike Messina credit for. And he was a way better pitcher than Mike Messina. He was a pitcher that went deep into games, a workhorse. I can see why someone would put him in the top 5. And if I'm really thinking about it, because I like to do top rankings of baseball based on what I've seen, I'd have to kind of put him on my top 5 as well.
I have to disagree a little bit, just because he made his bread and butter primarily post 2001. So 2001, 2002. Fine. Barry Bonds, steroids are still there. But by 2003, I believe the Mitchell Report had already come out and the steroid tests were out there. And that's when he really turned it on. So I don't think the level of hitters was the same as when Pedro was there. His first 3 seasons, 98, 99, 2000, he struggled pretty mightily, especially in 2000. They said in that documentary that his 10.64 ERA is like the highest for qualifying pitchers of all time in a single season, which was shocking to me. But yeah, I don't want to take anything away from him. I'd have to really take a deep dive into it. He's definitely in my top 10. I'm not sure if he's in my top 5 yet. For sure, one of the greatest pitchers to ever live. The complete games and the era that he pitched in alone makes him stand out among the rest of baseball players. What he did in that first season with the Phillies in 2010, the perfect game, and then the no-hitter. He's a legendary pitcher, man, for sure.
Yeah. To me, sorry. To me, I'm just looking at a guy that was there. Like he pitched a lot of games, mostly healthy. Now that we know that he was on medication to get through a lot of these starts, but he made a lot of starts. He made a lot of appearances. I think he was worth the contract that he was given. And I don't know. I even though the Mitchell Report came out and exposed a lot of the people that were on performance enhancing drugs up until that point. What year was it? 2003.
That he won a Cy Young? 2003.
Mitchell Report.
The Mitchell Report, I think it was 03. Yeah.
We still had guys in the league like A-Rod taking the next best thing. Manny Ramirez had gotten exposed twice before retiring. People were still getting caught for PEDs. We know Cano recently got caught for taking a drug that masks PEDs. So I don't think we'll ever know the level of performance enhancing drugs, but people still say that people are taking it. They say that people are still taking it today. So I kind of do have to give him credit for pitching during that time, because it was like,
and the division he pitched in too. In that early 2000, mid 2000, to pitch in the AL East and pitch to if I sort this, I'm sure it's going to be an under 3 ERA probably. It's pretty phenomenal. and he was just a workhorse, man. This guy was like nobody was completing games the way he could. I mean, he led the league in complete games in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons,
Yeah,
5 consecutive seasons between 2007 and 2011. But one thing that the main topic of the documentary, we're already over the 10-minute mark, but that's fine. We'll wrap this up pretty quickly. Was his addiction to painkillers and opioids, and it took place. I believe they said it was in the 2012 or 2013 MLB season with Philly, and he hurt his back pop. He didn't want to tell his team doctors or anything. He went to a teammate. The teammate directed him to the greatest state in the United States, Florida, of course. That was sarcasm. And somebody gave him painkillers there. He becomes addicted. And one of the things that really shocked me was those interviews, man. How did we not know? How did that get past people?
that's the thing. Like yesterday on our when we recorded yesterday, I said that I didn't know about his drug addiction until 2013. But for all I know, it was news that he went to rehab. I mean, how do you really keep that under wraps? I read that Philly, the Phillies organization tried to help him through his addiction. So maybe it was already news while he was still alive, and I just didn't reach me. Like I never read it, so I apologize if that was news and we didn't know. But yeah, in those interviews, man, he just looks bugged out.
It was clear as day. His
Yeah.
pupils were dilated. He was like slurring his speech. It was crazy.
And I think that's a tragic thing to realize, that his friends and family, teammates all knew that he had a problem, but I don't think it's as easy as just telling someone to stop, because you got the guy that's probably like your pillar of stability, and he's telling you that he's okay and that he's going to rehab, he's doing all this, but really like you don't ever really know. So it's like a very tough line to cross.
And it just seems like he was a prideful person. He didn't want people to know that he was going through rehab. I don't know. It's kind of sad. It was sad to see that. And then they got into his post baseball career. He coaches his son's high school team, I think it was. They win a championship. They go 30-0. And it seems like he's having the time of his life, but he's still battling this depression. He's still really sad all the time. He's still abusing painkillers. Goes into rehab a second time, and it kind of seemed like his wife felt like he was okay after that second stint in rehab. And he bought a plane, and they revealed that he would fly pretty low, dangerously, where people would report to the police like there's a plane that's going really low, blah blah blah. It would fly like close to 100 feet away from houses and streets and shit. And then one day when I think their son was graduating, I forgot what the event was. He was supposed to go with his wife, but instead he said he was going to fly his plane back to the airport or whatever. And it turns out he didn't go to the airport. He flew to the Gulf of Mexico, the ocean right there, the sea area. Minutes later, they reported a plane crash, and it turns out that before impact, whoops, my headphones just fell. He tried to pull up, and I guess it was too late at that point. So the biggest question that's overhanging this, that I think is resolved because of what his wife said and because of what some professionals said, is that he didn't commit suicide. But I still kind of question it, because why tell your wife I'm gonna go drop off the plane and then go meet you there, and then that's not what he does. He ends up going in another direction, and then why? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought about it and I was like, I think suicide should be considered, right? But at the same time, he was on drugs. And I think that when someone is addicted, I can't speak for them because I've never been addicted to drugs, like hardcore drugs like that. But I think that him being addicted and keeping it under wraps and not wanting people to know was kind of like him giving himself like the okay to take drugs and play it off as everything is okay. Like he probably didn't think he had a problem, but he did have a problem, type of scenario. And the fact that he had been flying planes so low prior to that, where people were like warning him to not do things like that, and he was lying to pass like pilot license tests and stuff like that. I think that there's a good chance that it was just an accident, a tragic accident. But I don't think the possibility of it being a suicide should be ignored either.
The At first, I talked myself out of it, but then when they revealed the types of medicine that they found in his system, one of them was a sleeping pill. So I don't know if that's carrying over from the night before,
I think it can be. Yeah.
or if or if he took it with the intent of I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna fall asleep on the aircraft. That's probably I don't know if it's that easy for that to happen. I don't know how you fly those planes. Like I don't know if you could go on autopilot or something. I don't know. And I don't know. And then the painkillers and I don't know, man. It's just I don't think you can rule it out. You're right, and enough people have said it wasn't based on their expertise, and his wife is pretty convinced that it wasn't. I hope that it wasn't. But it was a tragic story, and I think that from here, baseball has to kind of take this seriously, and start doing something about it because I'm sure that Roy Halladay and Tyler Skaggs aren't the only ones doing it.
Yeah, and I want to say that him taking sleeping pills on the hopes to crash the plane, I feel like it's out of character for him because you put yourself in the risk that you're gonna end up killing someone else. So if I
Yeah,
had to choose, I'd say it was more of an accident than suicide, but I wouldn't rule out suicide definitely.
yeah,
Not when
yeah.
someone is when not when their blood is filled with drugs.
Yeah.
So
So that was that, and the wife revealed that she wanted to come out about this because she wants people to seek help, just like Roy did, but he didn't finish. He both times that he went to rehab, he didn't finish all the way through. The first time I forget why he left. I think it was because somebody snuck in a camera. And I think the second time I can't remember what it was, but he didn't finish his rehab. And just because you go to rehab, most people that go to rehab tend to relapse anyway.
yeah,
But you have to kind of continue living that life. And I feel bad for his kids, that they had to go through that, and his wife. But hopefully something good comes of this. Hopefully baseball can start, testing players for painkillers, for opioid use, which I think they said that they would after Tyler Skaggs, and that people are out there who are hurting seek help. That there are people out there who are willing to listen. So that was a Roy Halladay doc. I would definitely recommend it. I don't think it's up on ESPN Plus yet, but when it is, check it out. It's called Imperfect. It's about Roy Halladay, and yeah, that's all I got for
it's
today.
it's up on ESPN Watch or
Okay.
Go. ESPN Go. I was watching the ending of it again. Almost caught me
Skip the
tearing up.
commercials. It's about 45 minutes, 45 minutes.
Skip the commercials for sure.
It's pretty good.
Yep,
Roy Halladay, man.
missed that
What
guy.
a guy. Me
Hope
too.
MLB The Show releases a Roy Halladay card before another Yankee card.
Let's get that. Let's get that Kareem Garcia, 2003 New York Yankees. Kareem Garcia? Anyone? No? Okay. All right. That's all we got for today. Follow me at Manigo3. Follow CTAKA Lewis at Hova Mojo. Follow the show at WT The Show.
Peace.
Peace.
Take care.